What's going on, guys? Welcome to a new show we got going on here.
Oh, yeah.
We might need to just call ourselves the Saratobi Sports Network at this point. All these little things we're adding, you know. Listen,
SSN, and we're not talking about your social security number. How about that?
Yeah, you're hearing us a little earlier in the week because we decided to try something new and jump on something that I feel like is a global world event at this point. It's like ending of Game of Thrones-esque, Breaking Bad-esque. Everyone's watching it. Everyone's talking about it. We're talking about the Attack on Titan season finale. But now that we know, it's the mid-season finale because fuck them. Yeah, it's, what was it, episode 75, I think, technically?
Episode 75, man.
Yeah.
And for y'all that just really dabbling into anime or y'all don't even know about anime, this is the power equivalent to Who Shot Ghost. You know what I'm saying? And this is just like, it's just fucking us up so bad because we out here thinking that this is the end, this is the end of the road, and then boom. But it makes sense though, you know what I'm saying? But we also have a couple guests with us, so
yes.
Let me introduce them first. So I got my boy, longtime friend, longtime listener, my boy Reddit Mavs.
What's up, guys?
There it is. How you feeling, bro? All good?
I'm good, man. I'm healed up from the Pfizer vaccine. So,
Yes, sir.
Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun
yeah,
day.
for real.
Indeed. And then we got my other boy, longtime friend, other listener of the pod, my boy Ryan in the building. How you feeling, Brody?
I feel good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes. We love our neighborhood weebs in the building.
Yep.
Yes. But anyways, so first and foremost, I'm happy to have y'all here. John and I, we both happy to have y'all here.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And-
Gotta love when we can get a conversation with all the weebs going.
Oh, absolutely. Proud weebs in the building.
Especially when it's like me and Ruben, where your sports isn't going so great, so we gotta enjoy what we can.
Nah, bro. I told John earlier, I was like, bro, like, I'd much rather talk about this than the Mavs. So let's go.
Listen, and honestly, I feel like at this point they might be equally as frustrating just because the
Yeah.
reason
Oh,
why I
yes.
never watched Attack on Titan before was because I was told about the first season. I think it was my sophomore year of high school, and the second season didn't come out until I was in college. So I
Yeah,
literally
bro,
went,
yeah.
I'm not going to watch this until it's done. It's almost done. Cool. Decided to binge it right before the season just to have to wait another year and a
Another
half.
year. So.
Yep.
They got you.
And in the DJ Khaled voice, congratulations, you played yourself. Yes. But we all did,
Literally.
basically. But I was on the same type of time. I'm a binge watcher. So the fact that I couldn't really binge it, you know what I'm saying? And then they said that this was going to be the end. I binged it, and then boom.
I feel like at this point it's also hard to binge it because you can't get away from spoilers. I usually watch the episodes on Monday, and it's like if I'm on any social media, it's just spoilers.
On Sunday, yeah.
Like
Fuck
it's
yeah.
so rough. But
Yeah, I've got like so many people that complain about people spoiling anime on Twitter, and then by doing so will like quote retweet the spoiler and then spoil it for everybody that follows them in return.
Right.
it's like if it's ruined for me, no one can have it.
Yep.
That's it.
It's like they don't even know. It's like, come on.
Right. Unbelievable. But
I mean,
with all that said, if y'all listening, there will be spoilers ahead if y'all did not get that vibe by now. So
Yes,
if y'all
yes.
didn't watch yet, please tune the hell out and tune back later because
go catch up because you got plenty of time to catch up.
Please.
So catch up and then listen to this.
this is y'all warning because after this moment, we will be talking about episode 75.
Everybody dies. It's Game of Thrones in this bitch.
Yes. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
for
it's not.
real.
All right, but first and foremost, before I get into my opinion on everything, I want to know what y'all feel like. So, Ruben, Ryan, what y'all tell me what the vibes is
Who
like. What
wants
do y'all
to go
think?
first? We're going to teach
Ryan, you
them
can
all.
go first, man.
All right, so a little bit of backstory about Attack on Titan for me is I watched the first season like when it aired, and then like John said, it took forever for the rest of it to come out. And then in rebellion, I kind of just like ignored it for the entire time. And then over the past week or
Respectfully.
so, I'm like, you know what? Like everybody's talking about this show, cultural moment, whatever. Let me catch up and watch it. So I've watched seasons 2, 3, and 4 like within like 5 days or so. So it's all a blur. And I don't know. I thought the final season was good. My gut reaction of the final season, I guess now, because it's not actually the final season. There's still
final
another half,
season
but-
A.
yeah. I feel like it was the weakest one, to be honest.
Really? Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's a take.
Yeah, I
Alright.
feel like there's this Attack on Titan kind of has this paradigm going where the first like 15 or so episodes are all like a lot of build up and it feels really slow, and then they give you like this crazy action sequence at the end that gets you fired up for the next season, where like the first season is the whole Annie pursuit, the second season is that mission to another mission to save Eren, and then like he uses the the founding Titan to make all those other Titans attack Raynar. The third season's obviously like the Beast Titan scene, which is like the most epic scene in the whole show, in my opinion.
Yep.
But this season 4 part 1 to me kind of did it in reverse, where you start with that whole Liberio sequence with the crazy Titan fight and the crazy hype, and then from there it's like they give you all of that exposition that normally comes at the front end of the season at the end, and it kind of just felt underwhelming to me as the season progressed. But then again, I've watched it all in like 2 days, so
it's like the strip
maybe
club
like weekly it would feel
of the
different.
show.
I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, it's like the strip club equivalent of the show. It's just like Eternal Blue Balls at this point, and we're just that close to the end, and that's why I'm upset. And it's like, I'm glad that you bring up that first like part of the season, because in the beginning of the season I was upset because, like you, I did everything in a short period of time at the start of the season, and then I'm like, I don't want to give a shit about these kids. I don't care about this country. Just get me back to where season 3 ended at. Right. Just go from there.
Yeah. So for me, I was like a season to season watcher, basically. Like, watch the first season, watch the second season, and then the third season, when the review happened, when the base review happened, I was like, well, fuck, I gotta read the fucking manga now, because I was like, it was that point in my brain where I'm like, okay, fuck, I might as well just like read ahead, because at that point, there's a certain point like within me where like, if I have to wait longer than like a day to watch that episode, I have to just go on. I started with this source material, and I obviously read until like the 4th season. The actual manga is going to end in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which has already been confirmed by everybody. It's going to end in 2 weeks. And let me tell you, when the second part of this last season is going to fucking be crazy. Like, if everything goes according to what the manga says, like it's going to be fucking insane. Mappa is going to have time to actually like map this shit out, because it's going to be fucking wild. And a lot of the 4th season has been like exposition, like talking about, hey, like a lot of talking, basically, like, again, like there was that first part of where it's like talking, first part where it's like the big Liberio scene where it's like, oh, like they're all fighting, blah blah. It's awesome,
Black Air Force energy. I loved it.
Yeah, the Titans look a little weird because of CGI or whatever, like which again is a kind of the only thing I could ever really like talk shit about Mappa to, is that the fact like the Titans looked kind of weird, just like
like when they're like moving and shit.
Yeah. She didn't look that great, but I could look over that, because again, the story, but where they ended this episode, like this part of the season, is exactly where a lot of people that read the manga were thinking, okay, this is exactly where they need to end it. Like, this next half is going to be fucking insane. And I'm sure none of you three have read ahead, and it's going to be like, it's worth it. I think, I hope like that the Titan animation gets better, just because like it's like reading the manga and thinking about, okay, like how the fuck is Mappa gonna actually like do this is gonna be insane. So yeah.
With that, like, as someone who has read the manga, I like, while we stay on this, like season 4 as a whole, how do you feel it has been in sticking to the manga so far? Do you feel like it's doing a good job of being parallel? It's like really sticking to it, or it's like they takes a little creative freedoms, but it still works?
So it's pretty fucking parallel to the resource material. Part of the issue with the manga for me was that there's like nuance that unless you're really really in tune with the manga, like you knew was coming, whether it be with Eren or Mikasa or Piek. Those 3 characters in particular like had moments where it was like, okay, like there's certain movements like within the manga where it's like it's very quick, where it's like, hey, like there's like an eye movement, or there's an expression of doubt where it's like, oh shit, actually, like, oh my god, this could actually be like something bigger. And Mappa did a really good point of emphasizing that. So like today's episode with Piek, like there's a lot of subtle movements that she does.
I like her character a lot.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people feel the same way.
her character was definitely more fleshed out in the anime than the manga. And I'm sure that's, Isama's, that's kind of Isama's thing where Isama for the entire time that Attack on Titan has become a thing where he would literally go in and be like, hey, like, do this, 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 and this, like he would tell the animators, hey, like, insert this, like, do this, shift it this way, stuff like that. And they've done a really good job of like kind of making her kind of be like the almost like the character that is able to bridge like the watcher to like what Aaron's doing, or what the other characters are doing, because especially in this episode, the way she acts, I feel like is a lot of the way that watchers of the anime would be like, oh, hold on, like, why is Aaron doing X and Y? Like, she's a good like kind of point for that. So
yeah, it feels like all the stuff they've been saying this season, it's constantly, it's like, is there ulterior motives? And I feel like at this point there has to be. I don't take anything Aaron does at face value this season, but it's like with her, I also feel like she's a smart enough character that it would make sense for her to be like, no, like, I understand Marley's shit and like I would like to, but then the moment she's like, you thought I would turn on my comrades, or she's like, I'm gonna point out who the other traitors and stuff are, I couldn't see, like, to me that was very out of character for how they built her so far.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say I predicted the end part with the Jaw Titan coming, but like I knew it was a little fishy, and I just didn't like. It's kind of disappointing because she's one of those characters that, since you like her, you go, nah, I want her to be on the protagonist side. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those where it's like, I want her to make what would seem like the smarter decisions and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's I don't know. To me, it allows to have a lot more flexibility on where that story could go for like the people who are just sitting here like, what's really gonna happen? Because she even says it, she's like, yeah, no, I don't trust Marley. So I feel like at the end of the day, she's gonna do what's best for her, or what she feels like is best for like the Eldians in Marley. But I also don't think she's with the whole revolution per se. But then again, we don't know Aaron's real plan, because whatever Aaron's real plan may be, she might be with it.
Right. Because even though they were saying that potentially the euthanasia idea that Zeke had come up with,
pussy.
you know what I'm saying? I really don't think that Aaron's really in on that. I think that's probably what we're gonna find out more in the second half of the final season of Attack on Titan. But anyways, just going back to what Ryan was saying about like how he felt about the season. To be honest, I kind of feel the opposite. I really did enjoy this season, mainly because of how last season ended, and I was completely unsure of what direction that it was gonna go in, because from based off of where it ended, where they found out that, all right, there's ocean, so that must mean that there's like more past where they're living, you know what I'm saying? And then you see how this season started, and it definitely was confusing at first, because I'm like, who the fuck are these new characters? What is this new situation that they're in? And like, you know what I'm saying? Because for a dude that didn't read the manga for this, you know what I'm saying? Like, it definitely threw me off guard. So now I felt like now season 4, and in respect to what Ryan is saying, they did a lot of world building for like that part of the time jumping basically and everything. So I enjoyed that. And I think that it built a lot of direction for where that this season is going to go, and even for where it's going to go in the second part of next season. So I don't know. I really genuinely enjoyed it. And it's funny because I was talking to one of my friends about this season as a whole in general. And one of the things that he said is that there's no way that this is going to end on this one episode, because there's so much shit that is like uncovered. And at this point, I haven't seen any of the season. So I'm like, nah, like he's probably just being dramatic. And then with like 3 episodes left, I'm like, are they really going to summate this in 3 episodes? Because it doesn't make sense. An hour worth of content is going to finish up all of these questions that I have answered? No.
See, that's my thing. Like, I always thought the way the season was going, I checked out, it's like, all right, it's going to be a regular season. And then I knew that since the manga was ending, I'm like, they seem too smart for them to end the anime before the manga is actually done.
Yeah.
I was like, that makes no sense. Like, that fans would hate that. And then I'm like, okay, what I think they're going to do is go to a certain point, finish the season how they want to finish the season, and I'm like, they're probably going to do a wrap-up in a movie. So that was my thing. So I'm thinking regular season, do the final touches that would be in the anime in a movie, because I know like way more shit happens. It's one of those. This happened to me a lot with One Piece, where I'd be like, oh, this is a cool character. I'm curious about them, or I have a question about one specific thing of a character, and I go look it up, and then I find out a lot more than I wanted to. So like for me, that was with something with Hanji. So that happened. I was like, okay, there's a lot that needs to happen, and then also like you're saying, to me, with the world building, I don't build Marley right as I end the show. To me, I'm like, that's something I feel like there's so much more to it. Like it wouldn't make sense for them to build Marley in those like what 6 episodes.
It was
right?
a lot. It was a lot
And
of
then
information
going,
to take in. Though.
All right, we're about to end it real quick.
Yeah.
But still, like, obviously, I'm not a writer. But like, I just thought you would want to have a little more time to let it breathe and let the ripple effect from everything going on with them have more time. But that could be what the rest of the manga is. At this point, we don't know. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Going,
Do you think that them choosing to announce that there's a new season the day that the episode of the last season is like is like manipulative? Like I don't know. It feels like everybody knew like it was everybody knew it was coming. Like I literally haven't watched the last season until like yesterday, and I've watched like the whole thing. But like the entire time, like I've heard people talking about this season, they're like, they're rushing it. There's no way they're gonna wrap it up. I'm like, all right, they're gonna make another season. Like it's Attack on Titan. It's the biggest anime in the world. Like why would they want this like party to end?
Yeah, dude. So me watching the anime because me and my fiance watched like the movie on Funimation, like basically the wrap up movie. Basically, it basically explained like the past 3 seasons, and she was like, "This shit's nuts. I gotta watch this."
Is it good, by the way? Because I got my girlfriend to watch the first couple episodes, and I'm thinking if I get her to watch a movie, she might be more willing to watch all of it.
Yeah, like it basically cuts down like all of like it's basically all action like the entire time, right? It's just like this happened, this happened, So I got my fiance to watch that, and she's like, because I've been trying to get my fiance to watch this forever, and I was just like, hey, like this shit's nuts. So she's like, I'm gonna watch the last season with you. And again, like by the 3rd episode, like to the last one, I was like, okay, they have to be like, because like I read because the manga, like the timeline for the manga and the anime, like it's basically about like it's like a year and a half out now at this point, right? Like this like this shit happened. The shit that happened right now in the anime happened like a year and a half ago. So I'm thinking, okay, like,
compared to the manga,
yeah,
okay.
So I'm thinking, shit, there's a lot of stuff that has to be explained. So I'm like, okay, like there's no way they're gonna wrap up a year and a half's work of work, like in 3 episodes. So I was like, they have to be having a 2nd season or like a quote unquote 5th season or a movie. And in my head, I was like, a movie being like about an hour and a half, maybe like for an anime movie is not going to cut it. Like there's no way. Like there's so much shit. There's so much like character development, so much shit that happens. Just like, and
give me
just,
a
like,
Snyder cut of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, bro. Like this, it's gotta be like it's gotta be like a 4-hour movie at that point. So I'm just like,
shit.
which I'm like, I watched Snyder cuts, so whatever. But
Right.
So like me going back to it, I was just like, no, dude, there has to be a quote unquote 5th season at this. Like in my opinion, like yeah, they're saying, oh, it's the final season, blah blah. It's not like some animes where they do like a part 2, like 3rd season part 2, whatever. It's like no, bro, this is like this might as well just be the 5th season. Like just call it that. Like the last season.
Yeah.
Because
the last season.
I mean, they really did. They did like they did like trick people into thinking like this last season, this like last like whatever like 15 episodes is going to be the last season.
Yeah, especially after building up. Oh, it's the final season. It's the final season, and then it's like
like,
okay,
no,
so it's the final season.
bro,
there
like,
should be no mid-season finale, especially if you're going a gap of a year and a half. That's not like normal mid-season finales.
Yeah,
like what ReZero's mid-season finale was in the fall. Part 2 is about to start, I think. So it's like it's one of those where it's like I don't get it.
I gotta watch that anyway.
Yeah, get on it. I gotta watch season 2 as well. But yeah, like it's as much hype as it has. You didn't need to do it. Like it's just one of those things where it's just frustrating. But at the end of the day, we're all gonna come back. We're gonna go watch it. The amount of people who now are gonna understand how big of an event is, and now have an extra year and a half to catch up.
And so like my brother, he's 19 years old, got my mom into this anime.
Really?
A lot of people have been doing it. I'm missing a lot of people who they've been getting their parents into that and Demon Slayer.
So my mom, and she watched Demon Slayer too. She loves like Game of Thrones, like the books, and like loves like certain things. And so the way that my brother like kind of like introduced her was like it's it's Game of Thrones but anime in the terms of like so many people die. Like
Yeah.
That's
don't
what I've
get
been describing in Comic Get Kill, which if you know you're following
It's
the
like-
anime book club with us.
Yeah.
I have not been. I need to watch that.
There you go. That's
but
Kame is
it's
fire.
very Game of Thrones esque.
Yeah.
but you know, just like hey, like people, just a lot of people fucking die. Like you gotta watch this, and so like my mom's watching it, and so like she texts me like a week ago and was like, hey, like is there something going on? Like they're not uploading like a new like animation, like you know, because they watch dub because my
Mhm.
mom
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
she doesn't fuck with like you know the
Naturally.
sub.
Subtitles
Yeah,
and
right.
shit, right?
And so she's like, hey, so like, what's going on? Like, you know, I was like, don't worry about it. Like, blah, blah. It's not gonna end. You know, it's not gonna end like the way you think it's gonna end. And she's like, okay, cool. And I don't know, man. I think like the way that people introduce like this anime in general has just been like, hey, like a lot of people fucking die. The way that I looked at it, like the first season is more just like typical shonen anime where it's like there's a clear protagonist.
Mhm.
He's a little whiny, a kind of a bitch, you know, just
Yeah.
like you know,
call
like
it how it is, yeah.
you know, like you know, he kind of sucks ass, but he's a protagonist, right? Like the second season is more just like it's almost more like of a like a political thriller where it's like there's more like politics involved for whatever reason, like you know, they're dealing with like the stuff with like the capital and like stuff with the Ackermans even start showing up, and then you know the third season we're just like okay, that's where like shit really pops off. Like I've seen people say that season 3 is when Attack on Titan becomes Shingeki no Kyojin, which is like that the Japanese title where it's like it's no longer like this like very stereotypical anime and delves more deep into like really like the world history of the entire thing. So
Right.
you know, and so
yeah.
like my mom watched like the basement reveal in English and she was like, what the fuck? She literally called me after and was like, why didn't you warn me about this? I was like, cause why would I? Like
Experience it.
Right.
Like
it's like you had to, and so like I had my brother. I was like, dude, just tell me like what she said. And my mom never cusses, right? Like she never like, she's very saintly about that. And he was like, mom literally said, "What the fuck" out loud, like when it goes into like the flashback, and she was like, I was like, yeah, bro, it's what it is. So.
Yeah. I feel like the flashback really caught a lot of people off guard. Are you referring to like the time jump, basically, like that part of season?
are you talking about when he went into his dad's memories?
I'm talking about when he goes into dad's basement and like,
his dad's
he's,
memories.
like-
Okay.
Yeah.
and she's like, oh my god, like, okay, I remember thinking like, that's why the Beast Titan said baseball in like
Yeah.
season 3 because I was like, baseball doesn't exist in that fucking timeline. What the fuck, like,
Right.
so
I haven't been ignoring you guys. There were two things that I was trying to look up. One was the CGI stuff. Like, I know it's a little iffy, but like, I don't know if you guys know about the anime Kingdom. I'm pretty sure it is. That has CGI, and when everyone's like, "Oh, it's good," and I went to go watch it, and the CGI was so bad, I got 2 minutes into it and I was like, "Can't do it." So it's definitely not as bad as it could be. And I know there are some other popular ones that do have good CGI, so maybe that's something, you know, after hearing how rough it is, that's something that they're working on for the second half. The other thing is like kind of what you're going into. In this TikTok that I was telling you guys about, where the guy explains the difference between shonen and seinen towards now, where it's like you said, your typical shonen, your main character is one of those where they're always right, like your Naruto's, your One Pieces. There's no issue on whether the main character is morally right. Like, you know for a fact, and you know that they're gonna win and things are gonna work out. He's like, compared to like live action stuff, Harry Potter is one of those where it's like people are getting into wars, they technically don't ever kill anyone. Things like that, and it's an idealistic main character where it's like, and the original meanings were for shonen was for kids and it could be for adults, and then seinen was targeted more for adults. So now with the seinen, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but it is what it is, they're like, in that you're not sure if the main character is right or wrong, or morally right or wrong, regardless. And then he's like, think of Attack on Titan, Game of Thrones, Watchmen, and then the like heroes and main characters are usually conflicted and flawed. So I feel like with that, it's easier to relate to, and it's something that adults and people like are more inclined to watch, because as you get older, you can understand that. Where when you're kids, you're looking at everyone like, oh, like they're the main person, they got to be perfect, things like that. And that's one of the reasons why when people say anime is for kids, come on, you just, you know, it's very ignorant of me. But
It's a very lazy statement.
Yeah, and to
Oh,
me,
yeah.
the first thing that came to mind with that was Overlord. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you haven't, it's an isekai, and then the main character is very much like that, and he actually acknowledges where he's like, "Damn, I played a villain in this video game. Maybe I'm turning into a villain myself." So it's those morally conflicting things, and like that's a great point where you're saying it's literally you watch it where you're just like, "Wow, this is just a gory shonen." It's just we're just out here, people's dying, but I still feel like he's right. He wants to end the biggest threat to his world and free his people, right? And then now we're at this point where you're like, I don't know what this motherfucker wants anymore. And you always get to that point where they start hurting the people closest to them. And like with this season, that scene with Mikasa, it was rough. It was hard to watch. But
That
it's
was
like,
rough.
What
Right,
the
that was
fuck
rough.
was that about?
That
I
was rough
like,
as fuck, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm
like,
you
I mean-
risked your whole plan to just violate her like that and then leave. Like, what was the point?
Yo,
there's no
Ryan,
reason to shatter
it's
her
all,
feelings.
It's all part of the plan, bro.
Yeah, it's gotta
That's
be.
what I'm saying.
And-
It's
and-
like Eren knows exactly what the fuck he's doing, yo.
And it makes me very much like stereotypical, like I'm gonna hurt the ones I love, so they leave me alone and stay away from me, just so that when I do some reckless shit, I don't end up hurting them, and it never works out.
Right.
But at the same time,
Fuck
with this
that,
anime,
yeah.
you really don't know if he just wanted to be an asshole, he's just in his bag, like, or that's what it is. He's trying to push her away, so when he does some wild shit, nothing comes back to her. He doesn't end up like hurting her off rip, but then he also beats the shit out of Armin, which was like, ugh.
That was rough. That was
Yeah.
rough.
He was
Okay,
like, you want to
so,
know why
like,
we never
my
got into a
man-
fight? Because I will beat your ass every time.
I ain't gonna lie, he beat the bricks off that nigga. It wasn't
Yo.
even it wasn't
Yeah,
even
bro,
right for him
not
to do
even
that, bro.
close.
He was curb stomping him, wilding out, giving him Duke right, Duke left, you know what I'm saying? Wild
That shit
shit.
was not fun to watch.
Like he was beating him silly, bro.
And then now
Like he
you're getting
stole
those,
something.
and then you're getting from there to like a redheaded stepchild. You get from there to this last episode,
Worse.
where Yelena's telling them the story and the whole euthanasia plan, which we can definitely go into because I'm not with it at all. And Armin's crying, and then to me, my first instinct is Berthold. You know, like he said, he's like, "Yo, you've been visiting Annie lately," even though we know that Armin hasn't had a crush on Annie. He wanted Historia, so now you visiting Annie. It's because Berthold has become a part of you. So now he's crying. Then you're like, how much of that is Armin? How much of it is Berthold? And then also, has Armin figured it out? Because we know his intellect is great. Is he starting to put together what's going on with Eren?
And it's also crazy just in general, going back, just piggybacking kind of off of what John said when when Eren was pointing out all of the shit that basically he knew about Titans that we didn't know about Titans. What he knew about the what's homegirl's last name? The Ackermans. You know what I'm saying? What he knew about the Ackermans.
Yeah, that was wild.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it just kind of goes to show, going back off of what I was saying, that how much we actually didn't know about like the whole world. You know what I'm saying? That
How much flashbacks did we not see?
That's exactly, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what got me kind of excited for next half too, because we was kind of getting the backstory on most of the main characters that became main characters this season. You know what I'm saying? So that's only gonna make me wonder, like, what else are we missing? Like, what else are we missing with Eren's pops? That's probably gonna play into effect later on. Like, what else are we gonna learn about the previous warriors that were the old Titans before them, and like even the kids
Yeah.
and like that selection process. You know what I'm saying? So
It's still fuck Zeke all day, every day, but
Hell
his
yeah.
backstory really made you feel for him. You know what I mean? And
Fuck that
it
guy.
made you
I
not
kind
like
of like
Grisha.
Zeke.
Yeah, like
Kind of like Zeke.
Yeah, I kind of like him. I don't know. I just feel like, again, it could be just a part of the show and things we don't know yet. But like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of characters that do stuff that don't make sense to me. Like,
you feel
just
like
as
everything
the
he's done has
viewer,
made
like,
sense.
just like, I don't know what hint I could have been given to like understand why you're doing this.
Mhm.
And like Zeke, like based on what I know about him, everything he does seems to like line up. Irwin was like
Mhm.
the same way for me.
Mhm.
Where I guess now like the Ackerman thing's kind of been explained, so I'm like, why is Mikasa always like chasing after like this
Yeah.
like irrational? I need to
It now
save
makes
Eren.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, now
Yeah, like that makes sense.
she
And
got
then
baby
just-
birded pretty much.
and then like jumping back to that, it just makes me wonder if like does Levi have somebody that he's like that with, and he doesn't know? Like I have no
Right, and
idea.
That's what I
I'm
was
saying.
thinking. It was Irwin, and that's why he's still going that hard to cook Zeke at every chance he gets, because that was the last promise he made. But then
Which is hilarious.
when he's like, he's not, I don't think he's dead in the slightest. But now he's like,
Definitely
okay,
not.
if he's dead, even though he's not gonna feel that way until he does himself. He's like, what happens to Levi now? Does he become a regular ass person? He has no one to protect. He's just mid as fuck. Like,
So, like, obviously, I've read ahead
mhm.
and know what, like, and so like, I was looking back, like, I'm thinking about like there are some. So one thing that the anime did this season that's a little different from the manga is that they rearranged some of the flashbacks.
Interesting.
So, which I'm assuming they're going to save for next season.
Okay.
So you'll see like why this happens, like, and it's almost and I kind of don't like it because it's almost like, hey, like, am I gonna remember to think about this, like, a year out, stuff like that. But
right, you got to do that rewatch before the season starts.
Definitely got to do a rewatch, bro.
That's probably what they're gonna make you do, bro. It's just like the week before, just rewatch the entire season because, I mean, there's so much that like I could potentially explain. I'm like, I shouldn't, cause blah, blah, just like it ruins the mystique of it, stuff like that. Which like I think it's a crutch for like every like person who reads the manga is like, oh my god, bro, there's so much knowledge I have where it's like I want to tell you guys like this happens and this happens, and
I'm like that with One Piece, even though I don't read. Like just like I said, checking up characters, seeing shit on Twitter, and being like, oh man, I just can't wait. Or it's like, oh, you don't know.
Speaking of, bro, I'm almost caught up on the Wano arc, so I'm waiting for that. But the thing about this though is that because there was such a time, like it's just a time like you had to wait from season 1 to season 2, season 3, blah blah. Like there's stuff that I've read from this first part of like the anime, or this first part of the season, where I'm like, I don't remember that happening. Like like where I watched the episode and I'm like, oh fuck, let me go back and make sure like this is what happened, like
I got ice in my veins. Walk like a champion. I'm so cold-blooded, I fear nobody. Ain't no letting down, I won't let you down. 'Cause I got ice in my veins. I talk like a champion. I'm so cold-blooded, I'm so cold.